What almost nobody realizes is that the Department for Work and Pensions has quietly grouped you into a risk category based purely on the decade you were born. And if you are currently in your 50s, 60s, or 70s, the July rule changes are about to move money out of your pocket before you even notice it's gone. Right now, thousands of people across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland are assuming their state pension is secure. The DWP is not correcting them. The most dangerous financial trap in 2024 isn't a scam email or a crypto crash. It is a bureaucratic grouping error that HMRC refuses to automatically fix. Here is the reality that hurts. If you were born in the 1950s, you are facing a stealth tax on your pension credit. If you were born in the 1960s, the new state pension age isn't the problem. It is the missing national insurance years that nobody told you about. And if you were born in the 1970s, the July contribution hikes mean you could be paying more into a system that pays you back less. Most people ignore DWP letters because they look like standard bureaucracy. That is the trap. By the end of this video, I am going to show you exactly which group you fall into, the specific July deadline you cannot miss, and the 2 words you must write on a letter to reclaim money the government hopes you forget about. This matters more than usual because July is not just another month for the DWP. July is when the new tax year reconciliations hit the system. It is when the underpayment corrections from the Lewis judgment finally stop being voluntary. And crucially, it is when the new contribution rates for the self-employed and for those buying back missing years come into full force. If you were born between 1953 and 1978, you are in what the DWP internally calls the group transition cohort. You are too young for the old pre-2016 pension rules, but too old to benefit from the full smoothing of the new system. You are stuck in the middle, and the July rules specifically target this group with 3 separate penalties. Later in this video, I will explain exactly how to check if the DWP has already underpaid you by thousands. I will break down the hidden earnings trigger that cancels your pension credit without warning. There is one rule regarding inheritance and national insurance that almost no financial advisor talks about, and group number 3, those born in the early 1970s, are about to walk into a tax trap that could cost them over £15,000 by retirement. Let us open the file. Section 1. The 1950s group, the pension credit stealth penalty. Let us start with the older end of our group. If you were born in the 1950s, you are likely already claiming or approaching pension credit. Here is the problem that the DWP is not advertising. From July 2024, the assessment for pension credit is becoming more aggressive regarding small private pensions and part-time earnings. Previously, you could earn a small amount from a part-time role without it affecting your guarantee credit. The new July rules lower that threshold effectively by freezing it while inflation rises. This is called fiscal drag on benefits. Consider a real example. Imagine a retired woman named Margaret in Manchester. She was born in 1955. She receives the basic state pension of approximately £169.50 per week. She also works 12 hours a week at a local shop, earning an extra £120. Under the old rules, most of that £120 was disregarded. Under the July calculation method, the DWP now counts a higher percentage of that income against her pension credit. What happens next surprises many people. Margaret's pension credit doesn't just reduce by a few pence. Because pension credit is a gateway benefit, losing £10 of pension credit can also cancel her full housing benefit and her cost of living support. The consequence is a triple loss. One small change, 3 separate penalties. But here is what most people do not know. You can appeal the DWP's new income calculation if your earnings are irregular. You need to request a Form A64 from the DWP specifically asking for an average earnings assessment rather than a weekly snapshot. This one form could protect hundreds of pounds. The deadline to submit this for backdating is July 31st. Now we move to the 1960s group. This is where the trap becomes expensive. If you were born between 1960 and 1969, you need the new state pension. To get the full new state pension, which is currently £221.20 per week, you need 35 qualifying years of national insurance contributions. Here is the hidden fact. HMRC estimates that over 800,000 people in this age group have at least one partial year that they could fill for free, but the DWP is not telling them. A partial year is a year where you worked but earned just below the lower earnings limit. Historically, those years were discarded. The July 2024 rules now allow you to buy up those partial years at a discounted rate of just £15 per week missing, rather than the usual £30. The biggest mistake people are making is ignoring the letter NIC on their HMRC statement. If you see a year marked as not full, but with a small number of contributions already made, you are leaving free pension accrual on the table. Let me give you a specific number. One single year of national insurance today costs approximately £907 to buy voluntarily. That 1 year adds roughly £5.30 per week to your state pension. Over a 20-year retirement, that £907 purchase returns over £5,500. That is a 500% return. You cannot get that anywhere else. But here is the urgency. The deadline to fill gaps going back to 2006 is April 5, 2025. However, the July rule is that the DWP is now legally allowed to stop sending reminders for these gaps. If you do not check your record on gov.uk before July 31st, the system flags you as non-responsive, and you lose the automatic right to a payment plan. You would have to pay the full lump sum. If you were born in the 1970s, you are likely still working. You might be thinking, I don't need the state pension for years. This doesn't affect me. That is exactly the mindset the DWP is counting on. And it is dangerous. From July 2024, the Class 2 national insurance contributions for the self-employed are being officially abolished. On the surface, this sounds like a tax cut. But look closer. They are being replaced by Class 4 contributions on all profits over £12,570. For a self-employed person earning £30,000, this change is a small saving. But for someone with a mixed career, employed for part of the year and self-employed for another part, this creates a gap. Here is the scenario most advisors miss. Imagine a man named David, born in 1972. He works as an employee from January to June, earning £15,000. He pays Class 1 NICs. From July to December, he starts a freelance business earning £12,000. Under the old rules, his Class 2 contributions were a flat £3.45 per week. Under the July rules, because his total annual profit is below the small profits threshold, he pays zero Class 4. That sounds good. But zero contributions means zero credit toward his state pension for those 6 months. The DWP will not automatically link his employment record with his self-employment record. David will wake up at age 68 to find he has only 33 qualifying years instead of 35. He loses £10.60 per week for the rest of his life. That is a loss of over £11,000 in today's money over a typical retirement. The solution is tedious but vital. You must file a Form CA 5603, with HMRC specifically requesting a combined earnings assessment. This forces the system to look at your total annual income across employment and self-employment. You have to do this manually. The July rule is that online auto-assessments no longer combine these earnings by default. If you do not send the form, the system treats you as two different people. There is another layer to this trap that nobody is talking about because it feels embarrassing to mention. Many people in their late 50s and early 60s are currently on universal credit due to redundancy or ill health. The July DWP rule change directly penalizes these individuals for having private pensions they have not even accessed yet. From July, the DWP is using a new deemed income calculation. If you are over 55 and have a private pension pot that you could access, even if you have chosen not to, the DWP is now allowed to assume you are taking 10% of that pot as income per year, even if you have not withdrawn a single pound. This is outrageous, but it is the law. So imagine a woman named Susan, born in 1965. She was made redundant last year. She has a private pension pot of £50,000 from an old job. She is not touching it because she hopes to get a new job next year. She is on universal credit to pay her rent in Bristol. The DWP's new July system will deem her to have an extra £5,000 of annual income, £50,000 x 10%. That £5,000 reduces her universal credit by approximately £2,500 per year. This is where things become expensive. Susan loses £208 per month in benefits for money she never received. The only escape is a disregard waiver form, specifically Form UC 578, where you must prove that accessing the pension would cause a significant financial penalty from your provider. You have to submit this before the DWP automatically applies the deeming rule. The July trigger is that all new claims and all annual reviews after July 15th will automatically apply the deeming unless you opt out. The final group trap affects anyone born in the 50s, 60s, or 70s who has been widowed or divorced. The rules inherited from the old state pension system are still active, but the DWP is gradually erasing them without public notice. If your spouse died before 2016, you might be entitled to inherit a portion of their additional state pension, SERPS or S2P. However, the July 2024 rule is that the DWP is no longer automatically calculating this inheritance. You have to claim it specifically using Form BP 224. Here is the fact that shocks people. According to the DWP's own data, over £300 million in inherited state pension remains unclaimed because surviving spouses do not know they have to ask for it. If your partner passed away more than 12 months ago, the DWP has a legal duty to backdate the claim for up to 12 months only. After that, the money is gone forever. There is another issue almost nobody talks about. Divorced individuals born in the 1960s can claim a shared state pension based on their ex-spouse's national insurance record. This is not automatic. And the July rule is that HMRC is now time-limiting these claims to 36 months from the date of the decree absolute. If you were divorced in 2021 or earlier, you have likely already lost this right unless you appeal before July 31st. Let me pull all of this together, because I know there is a lot of information here and your specific situation matters more than a general overview. If you were born in the 1950s, your risk is pension credit erosion from part-time work. Your action step is to call the DWP Pension Credit Helpline and ask for Form A64 to request an average earnings assessment. Do it before July 31st to protect your housing benefit. If you were born in the 1960s, your risk is missing national insurance years. Your action step is to log into your personal tax account on gov.uk, go to check your state pension forecast, and look for any years marked as not full, but with contributions already made. You have until April 2025 to fill them, but the DWP stops reminding you in July. Set a calendar reminder today. If you were born in the 1970s, your risk is the contribution hike creating gaps in mixed employment. Your action step is to submit Form CA 5603 to HMRC requesting a combined earnings assessment. It takes 10 minutes to fill out. It could save you £11,000 in retirement. And for anyone on universal credit who is over 55 with a private pension, you must submit Form UC 578 to opt out of the deeming rules. The DWP will not remind you. They will simply assume the income exists. The through line here is simple but uncomfortable. The government departments are not malevolent, but they are understaffed and automated. Automated systems always default to taking money away because that is mathematically easier than giving money out. You have to insert a human appeal. You have to use the forms I have mentioned. And you have to do it before the July batch processing dates reset your file. If you found this video useful, and I genuinely believe it could save you or a family member hundreds, if not thousands of pounds, please hit the like button. It helps YouTube show this video to another person in their 60s who is currently overpaying or underclaiming without realizing it. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. I release updates every time the DWP or HMRC changes a threshold, a deadline, or a form number. The rules changed 3 times last year alone. You do not want to miss the next one because the algorithm decided not to show it to you. And finally, if you have a specific question about your birth group or a letter you received in the post last week, post it in the comments. I read them, and more importantly, other viewers in the exact same situation often share the solution that worked for them. The DWP is not going to help you navigate this, but this community will. Stay informed. Check your forecast. And do not let the July rules take money you have already earned.